Alarming. Little girl, 6, pleads for help. CEO's incredible journey into the woods reveals hidden secrets of success. Sarah Benson's gaze flickered to the conference room clock, its hands moving impossibly slow while the air thickened with tension. Just as she was about to present her pitch to the anxious investors sitting across from her, her phone buzzed abruptly, pulling her focus. She glanced down, eyes widening as a voicemail began to play, announcing a 6-year-old girl named Lily, lost and frightened in the woods. The sound of the child's quivering voice shattered her carefully constructed professional facade. An urgent knot twisted in her chest. The air felt stale, suffocating, filled with promises of wealth and prestige that suddenly felt hollow. What if something happened to that little girl? She hesitated, torn between her ambition and a moral obligation she couldn't shake. The voices in the room faded, and doubts intertwined. Was she just another CEO, too consumed by profit to bother with someone in need? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The unexpected chill of the forest air hit her as she stepped outside, the scent of earth and wood deeply entwined with her memories. A place she used to roam as a child, an escape where she felt alive and free, now stood before her as a daunting maze. Here, surrounded by towering trees, she faced her past 7 years of grinding corporate life, the ambition that suffocated her once sparkling dreams. Was this legacy worth abandoning the innocent, perhaps even her own spirit? She trekked deeper, the path narrowing, each thicket a reminder of days when her father's ambitions overshadowed her own. Sarah could almost feel those expectations weighing heavily on her shoulders. Her thoughts spiraled, throwing her into a whirlwind of frustration and despair. Had she become what she dreaded? Suddenly, she stumbled upon Jack, an elderly man with lines of wisdom etched into his face. He stopped her in her tracks with tales of hope that embraced her heart. She listened, captivated and tortured, their conversation revealing truths she had buried, a reminder that life's real success wasn't about the bottom line but the lives we touched along the way. With every obstacle she navigated, Sarah's internal conflict frayed at her resolve. Just when she thought she was sinking into clarity, the forest's dense hush enveloped her once more, and a surge of panic gripped her heart. She had to find Lily, but did it mean losing herself in the process? Every step turned into a growing agony, reflecting her inner chaos. And then, she heard it, the fragile voice of Lily, far off yet clear as daylight, calling for help. Relief rippled through her, but a new dread emerged. Could her very presence in this moment become a catalyst for change, or merely a fleeting act of courage? As Sarah rushed forward, her past loomed just behind her, creeping in from the shadows. Breathing heavily, she finally caught a glimpse of the small figure and froze as a sudden rustle broke the serene commotion of the woods. A dark silhouette loomed on the periphery, its presence demanding attention, a ghost from her past ready to unveil secrets that threatened everything she believed about herself. The weight of possibility pressed down on her chest, leaving her breathless, filled with dread yet spurred with the need to uncover what lay ahead. Something was about to unravel, shaking the very foundations of her world. Secrets of succession. The dark silhouette solidified, and Sarah's instinct screamed at her to run, yet curiosity rooted her to the spot. It wasn't just the figure, it was the deep-seated fear of confronting her past. All her life, she had maneuvered through the corporate jungle, crafting a flawless exterior. Inside, she wrapped herself in the armor of stubborn ambition, knowing every compromise dulled her instincts, numbing her empathy. Now, in the solace of the woods, that armor felt like a burden. As the silhouette stepped closer, she realized it was not just a remnant from her past but a part of herself she had buried, her former self, the little girl who used to wander these paths without a care in the world. That naive spirit radiated a warmth she had long extinguished, and it urged her to move forward rather than retreat. Lily needs you, a small voice echoed in her thoughts, an inner dialogue born from the conflict raging within her. She could no longer ignore the call, not just of the child lost in the woods, but of her own heart yearning for authenticity. With a deep breath, she took a step towards the figure, her heart thumping hard against her ribs as she prepared to face this echo from her own past. The silhouette unveiled itself, revealing a young girl adorned in a simple white dress, just like she had worn years ago. The girl smiled at her, innocent and untainted by the weight of expectations. "What are you doing here?" Sarah inquired, her voice quivering. "I'm here to help you," the girl replied simply, her bright blue eyes glistening with kindness, awakening something deep inside Sarah. "You've lost your way, haven't you?" Those words felt like a knife cutting through layers of pretense. Sarah had indeed lost her way, entangled in a pursuit that overshadowed her values. She had been so busy climbing the corporate ladder that she had sacrificed genuine connections and, more importantly, her own spirit. The revelation crashed over her like a wave. She didn't just need to rescue Lily, she needed to rescue herself. Just then, Lily's soft voice echoed through the woods again, "Help is just ahead." The child's determination ignited Sarah's own. This was about more than just saving a little girl, it was about reclaiming the dreams she had once held dear. Fire ignited within her determination as she raced toward the voice, cutting through the dense underbrush. Her hesitations began to fade, replaced by a sense of purpose. Adrenaline surged as she followed the sound, a guide, a beacon of hope. But as she approached where the voice originated, an unsettling thought crept into her mind. What if rescuing Lily meant confronting elements of herself she had long tried to suppress? Would she face overwhelming regret, or would it be the release she so desperately needed? Sarah reached a clearing and saw Lily, her small frame hunched and trembling. Relief washed over her, but as that moment of joy settled, she caught sight of the dark figure lurking just beyond the trees. The ghost of her corporate identity, the embodiment of her fears, grew closer, threatening to shackle her with doubt again. "Here!" Lily cried, her arms reaching out in a plea for comfort. In that moment, Sarah realized the stakes were higher than she ever anticipated. It wasn't just about saving a child, it was an opportunity for her own redemption. Could she face the shadows of her past while forging a new path? The tension in her chest coiled tighter, and she took a deep breath, ready to confront both the girl and the figure watching her from the shadows. Behind her, the trees rustled again, a reminder that the journey ahead would test her resolve. Stepping forward, she whispered a silent prayer for courage, ready to embrace whatever truth awaited. As she moved into the clearing, the silhouette began to take form once more, and with it came an unsettling realization that her confrontation was imminent. The moment of truth stood at the edge of her heartbeat, ready to clash with everything she thought she knew about herself. Sarah's heart raced as she stepped fully into the clearing, ensnared by the dichotomy of fear and determination. The dark figure, a reflection of her discontent, stood just beyond the tree line, a specter of her past failures, memories blurred by ambition and relentless pursuit of power. With every heartbeat, she could feel the weight of expectation pressing down, and the little girl, Lily, remained an urgent tether to her original self. "What do you want from me?" Sarah demanded, her voice steady but edged with tension. She was surprised by her own resolve, the years of latent strength unfurling like the leaves surrounding her. The silhouette shifted, revealing the stark reality of her former self-worn corporate attire and an expression marred by doubt and bitterness. "You abandoned your dreams for this," the figure spat, voice laced with venom, gesturing toward the polished world Sarah had worked so hard to create. "No," Sarah interjected fiercely, her past rattling down the halls of her mind like a cacophony of echoes. "I did what I had to do." "Did you?" The figure stepped forward, the light of the setting sun no longer illuminating a comforting visage, but rather intensifying the grim reality of her choices. "You traded your heart for advancement, lost in a jungle of greed and ambition. Is this what you really wanted?" Lily's presence, small and innocent, was an antithesis to the dark shadows that loomed over Sarah. "I want to help you, remember," the girl implored, her wide eyes shimmering with trust. "You used to chase dreams, not just titles." In that moment, the dissonance within Sarah swelled. An internal war ignited. Was she truly ready to confront not just the specter but her own choices? Perhaps success had come at too steep a price. "I need to find a way forward," she breathed, feeling the heat of resolve build in the pit of her stomach. If she was to rekindle the fire that once ignited her passion, she had to strip away the layers of corporate armor that had suffocated her spirit. Then face it, the dark figure challenged, advancing with an authoritative stance that paralleled the corporate persona she had so fiercely donned. Admit what you've become. Sarah straightened her posture, the weight of the moment forcing her to confront her own identity. She was not just the ruthless CEO and her polished heels, the relentless climber of societal ladders, but also the girl who found magic in the mundane, innocence in curiosity. I've lost sight of who I am, she murmured, the honesty slicing through her defenses like a blade. I didn't just lose my dreams, I lost my soul. The moment lingered, crackling with an energy that felt foreign yet invigorating. Lily edged closer, extending her small hand toward Sarah. It was more than a gesture, it was a lifeline being thrown into turbulent waters. Come back to us. You can change. The obscured memories and limiting beliefs began to churn within her mind, an awakening of sorts. This was an invitation to redefine herself, not as a conqueror in a suit, but as a person who cherished connection and authenticity. Can I do this? Sarah questioned, fear still lurking at the corners of her heart. Am I brave enough to reclaim my dreams while confronting what I've become? Only you can decide, answered the dark shape, now less imposing, as if the confrontation had diminished its power. Step beyond the darkness, and embrace the light you left behind. In that moment, Sarah's decision crystallized. The turmoil became a source of determination, her growing hunger to evolve, fighting against the internal shackles. Guided by the innocence of Lily's widespread hopes, she took a bold step forward, breaking free from the past. The moment hung heavy, a watershed of self-reflection and burgeoning hope. Just then, a whisper swept through the trees, signaling that even deeper conflicts lay ahead. Could she truly disentangle herself from the chains of expectation? As she stood at this critical juncture, poised between past and future, Sarah felt the stirring of excitement course through her veins. The adventure was only beginning, and she realized the shadows had more to teach. Taking Lily's small hand in hers, she took a resolute breath, preparing to face not just the ghosts of her past but the challenges that lay ahead. The time had come to face the truth that would define her moving forward. Would she embrace vulnerability, or would fear win the day? As trees whispered secrets around her, the next chapter beckoned, swirling with promise yet steeped in uncertainty. The air thickened as Sarah and Lily ventured deeper into the woods, a palpable tension enveloping them. Each step felt like a departure from the life she had built, a life she had once fought tirelessly to construct, now revealing itself as a gilded cage. Sarah's pulse quickened, a cocktail of doubt and determination igniting within her. Where are we going? Lily asked, her voice a soft echo against the dense backdrop of trees. To find a way back, Sarah answered, her resolve sharpening. The clarity of that goal pushed aside the fog of uncertainty that had clouded her thoughts. She needed to reconnect not just with her ambitions but with her values. The dissonance was no longer acceptable. As they walked, Sarah reflected on her corporate climb. The accolades, the recognition, they all came with a sacrifice, the sacrifice of authenticity. How had she allowed herself to become someone so distant from the girl who dreamed of exploring the world? She knew the answer lay not just in her actions, but in the choices made along the way. Choices rooted in fear of failure and desperation for validation. Do you think we can get back to that? Lily hesitated, her brows furrowing in innocent concern. Sarah knelt down to meet Lily's gaze, eyes filled with sincerity. The girl who chased dreams never really left. She's still here, just buried beneath a lot of decisions. That acknowledgement flooded Sarah's mind with clarity. Each step further into the woods wasn't just a physical journey, it was peeling away the layers of compliance that had accumulated over the years. She thought of the countless board meetings, the hollow conversations that had floundered in superficiality while genuine ideas remained choked at the throat. Can we find her again? Lily's small hand squeezed Sarah's as if to anchor her. It struck a chord deep within, a reminder that reconnecting with her dreams would mean embracing her truest self, free from fear. Absolutely, Sarah assured her, their connection igniting a newfound resolve within. But it's going to take courage. I will need to face my biggest fears. As if sensing the intensified atmosphere, the trees rustled, their branches swaying ominously. Each noise reverberated like a challenge to her previous way of life. The environment transformed from merely a setting into a reflection of her internal struggles, a realm of uncertainties inhabited by shadows of her past. Pushing aside the echoes of doubt, Sarah ventured deeper, guided not only by her desire but also by an intuitive understanding of the necessity of vulnerability in the journey ahead. She needed to face those who had challenged her ambitions, the colleagues whose expectations had defined her very identity, to reclaim the professional woman she once aspired to be. "Let us find out what's at the heart of this," she said, her feet firm against the ground. The determination in her voice felt like a shield against the creeping dread that had characterized her past. Suddenly, the ground beneath her shifted, a literal and metaphorical revelation. Where she had expected a clear path, she found a tangle of roots and uneven stones, much like the obstacles in her professional life. It was a call to action, a test of perseverance. "Are you ready to climb?" she asked, needing to know if both of them were willing to scale the challenges together. "Yes." Lily beamed, her trust unwavering and infectious. With that shared resolve, they began navigating the chaotic landscape. Sarah moved with a sense of urgency, fueled by the need not just to survive this, but to thrive. Each step challenged her to confront the internalized images of self-doubt, and the expectations set by others. Could her journey through this wilderness catalyze a transformation that had long been dormant? As they reached a clearing, a sudden quiet enveloped them, and Sarah felt the weight of the moment settle in her chest. She was staring at a steep incline ahead, where shadows lingered, reminiscent of the visions of her corporate life, the hurdles yet to be cleared, the decisions yet to be made. In that breath-stopping moment, Sarah realized she was on the brink of not just rediscovery, but reinvention. Was she ready to harness the strength that surfaced in vulnerability, to become the architect of her life rather than merely a participant? And in that juncture of introspection, the air shifted again, a whisper barely heard from deep within the woods: "The true challenges await." This was just the beginning. She was ready to confront both her fears and her dreams. What lay ahead could either illuminate her path or plunge her back into the darkness. She took a breath, preparing herself for the next plunge into the unknown. As Sarah and Lily approached the inclined pathway, a wave of trepidation rolled through Sarah, coiling tightly around her heart. This steep rise, dark yet inviting, mirrored her internal landscape, a reflection of every career hill she had ever faced, every fear she had pushed aside. Today, that fear manifested as an opportunity, a moment to seize her authentic self, and transform her fears into fuel. "Let us tackle this together," she said, offering an encouraging smile to Lily, who seemed both excited and uncertain. With each step upward, Sarah's thoughts churned. What if she faltered? What if she couldn't reclaim her sense of purpose? The questions rattled around in her mind like restless spirits. Yet, that very uncertainty crackled within her like static, urging her to push forward. The roots wrapping around her feet felt like a twisted metaphor, a reminder that true strength often lies beneath the surface, intertwined with the past. The incline sharpened, and as they ascended, Sarah noticed the birds' songs dulled, replaced by an unsettling stillness. It felt as if the woods were holding their breath, waiting for her to make the next move. Each challenge loomed larger than life, reflecting her professional demons that had forced her into a mold she no longer identified with. "Do you think we can keep going?" Lily asked, looking back in innocent concern, eyes wide and sparkling with a mix of fear and excitement. "Absolutely," Sarah reaffirmed. "Sometimes we have to climb before we can see how far we've come." She felt the truth of her words resonate deep within her. They continued to ascend, and with every laborious step, Sarah felt simultaneous strains of exhilaration and dread. The path twisted unpredictably, intertwining with her feelings of being lost professionally. Was she truly willing to confront not only the physical elements of this climb but the emotionally charged landscape of her career? Emerging from the grip of the trees, they reached a sudden plateau. The view was breathtaking, and for an instant, the air felt electrified with possibility. Yet, Sarah couldn't bask long in the beauty. Within her an urgency brewed, tied to the ambition she had neglected for years. She was here to reclaim the essence of who she'd been, and who she could still be. What's next? Lily questioned, bouncing on her toes, the innocence of childhood shimmering through the air. For a fleeting moment, Sarah hesitated, caught in indecision. Should they turn back, or venture deeper into the unknown? She felt a gust of wind, almost as if the universe answered her dilemma. In that moment, she envisioned the corporate boardrooms where she felt restrained, stifled by expectations that didn't align with her true self. This journey mirrored those board meetings, decisions looming and consequences awaiting. No turning back, she declared more to herself than to Lily. We're going to find our way through this. The journey needed to be about more than just nostalgia, it had to embody new insights gained from confronting her demons. This slope signified more than just a physical challenge, it beckoned her to confront the facade she had donned over the years as a protective shield. As they prepared to move forward, Sarah felt a slight tremor in her hands, a sign of vulnerability amidst strength. Right here in the heart of the wilderness, she faced something greater than the unknown path before her. She was confronting herself. They pressed forth, plunging into a deeper thicket. The terrain grew wilder, with jagged rocks and hidden twists, much like the corporate world she was poised to confront again soon. But now, she was determined to embrace her true self, the unfiltered, curious woman who once dared to dream. And just then, a sudden crack shook the silence of the woods, a branch snapping, a revelatory shift. It felt like a challenge resonating in her bones. Was she really ready for the trials ahead, the reckoning of past choices? The distance might hold secrets promising growth or reveal stark truths about her professional life. Hard choices ahead awaited her. As they stood on the precipice of deeper uncertainty, Sarah realized that while the trail was perilous, it also held the keys to her liberation. With a deep breath, she stepped forward. Each step was a commitment to transformation, propelling her toward the confrontation of her past. Behind her, Lily's hand squeezed her own, and together they plunged deeper into the wilderness, drawn ever closer to the truth woven into their journey. What would they discover about themselves along the way? As that question hung in the air, a new presence in the trees caught Sarah's eye, something or someone watching from the shadows, a reminder that both her past and her future were just around the corner. As they moved deeper into the thicket, Sarah's senses sharpened. The shadows clung to the trees, thickening the air with an electric tension that mirrored the doubts swirling in her mind. The rustling leaves seemed alive, whispering secrets of her past while the wind sliced through the branches, amplifying her internal conflict. "Do you hear that?" Lily's voice pulled her back to the moment. The little girl's eyes darted around, reflecting children's instinctive curiosity and caution. Sarah paused, glancing toward the source of Lily's apprehension. Was it just the wind? Or was someone observing them, watching with intent? The flicker of movement deeper in the woods sparked a visceral panic in Sarah. Yet she knew she couldn't allow fear to dictate her response. Pressing her lips together, she chose to focus on the task at hand. "Yes, but it's okay," she reassured Lily, though uncertainty gnawed at her. "Let us keep going." With heavy determination, they pushed through the thick underbrush. Each footfall was accompanied by a faint echo of the confidence she had misplaced in her corporate life. Her job felt like a suffocating cloak she had wrapped around herself, one so familiar she scarcely recognized its weight. Perhaps confronting this wilderness was a way to strip it away, exposing the rawness of who she truly was underneath. Lily burst into laughter as they stumbled through ferns that brushed against their legs, and Sarah found herself smiling at the infectious joy of childhood. It was a reminder of a past she felt distanced from, the authentic self infused with wonder, bravery, and purpose. Would she ever find her way back to that unblemished ambition? Suddenly, a sharp sound broke her introspection, a snapping like that of a branch, unmistakably close. Instinctively, she reached down and grasped Lily's hand, squeezing it tightly. "Stay close," Sarah instructed, her heart racing. The sense of being observed morphed into something more, an unsettling certainty that they were not alone in these woods. With cautious steps, she moved forward, scanning the shadow-cloaked trunks for any signs of life. The urge to flee surged within her, but she stood her ground. What were the implications of retreating now? Could she truly go back to the life that stifled her? Fear coiled around her resolve, and she shook it off. This was not simply a physical journey, it was a crucible of her ambition. After a moment, they reached a clearing where sunlight spilled through the canopy, illuminating patches of wildflowers fragile yet resilient. Here, Sarah felt a subtle shift in her spirit. With the vibrancy of the flowers contrasting against the gloom, it became clear, the wilderness was a metaphor for her journey through her career, a place of transformation, of facing fears rather than evading them. "Look, Mama! Flowers!" Lily exclaimed, darting toward the colors. For a fleeting moment, as the girl knelt to admire them, Sarah felt a pang of longing to inspire the same awe Lily experienced. What had brought her to this point where she felt stuck, an observer of her own dreams? The fluttering whispers of the woods seemed to answer her uncertainty, urging her onward. "Perhaps I just need to dig deeper," she murmured to herself, realization dawning. Just like the roots hidden beneath the earth, her true desires had to be unearthed and embraced. As they turned to depart the clearing, Sarah caught sight of a shadow moving again, but this time it felt more pronounced, a deliberate pause, as if gauging their next move. Adrenaline surged through her, now focused and sharp. "Lily, wait," she called softly, feeling a potent mix of dread and curiosity ignite her determination. Whatever or whoever had been watching could hold the key to unshackling her past and unlocking the future. She needed to confront it. With a newfound resolve, she took a protective stance in front of Lily, her heart racing, unsure if she was prepared for what lay ahead. They would push forward. Something vital was on the horizon, and she had to discover what awaited them beyond the veil of their fears. In that instant, as the flickering figure emerged from the shadows, Sarah was struck by a gripping realization. The true confrontation was not just with the unknown but with her barest self, facing a pivotal truth from her past that could lead to her redemption. What awaited her in the shadowy depths of the woods? The answer was more powerful than she could imagine, poised to unveil the connections between her past, present, and future. The figure stepped fully into view, a man with an unkempt beard and clothes that had seen better days. Sarah felt a rush of conflicting emotions. Fear mingled with curiosity, igniting her instincts into overdrive. "Stay behind me, Lily," Sarah instructed, her voice steady despite the uncertainty roiling inside her. The man regarded them with a solemn expression, his eyes reflecting a depth that momentarily drew her in. He didn't seem to pose a direct threat, but the intensity of his gaze was disarming. "Are you lost?" he asked, his voice low, almost gravelly. Her mind raced, weighing her options. Should she engage him in conversation, or would that expose them to more danger? But wasn't this the moment she had been anticipating, a potential confrontation with her past? The unknown was daunting, yet she recognized this as the opportunity to reclaim the narrative of her life. "No," she replied, her resolve strengthening. "We're exploring." "Exploring?" Not many come this deep into the woods. There was an edge of caution in his tone as he shifted his weight, slowly easing the tension that hummed in the air. "It can be dangerous." And there it was, the shadow of her corporate life, the one dominated by rules, risks weighed against finances, all draped in a safety net that now felt suffocating. She thought about the crossroads she faced, to remain guarded or embrace vulnerability. "Danger exists everywhere," she responded, surprising herself with the conviction in her voice. "Not just here. The real danger is feeling trapped in a life you're afraid to leave." The man merely nodded, as though he understood more than she shared. In that moment, something flickered between them, a recognition of shared struggles and unspoken battles. Judgments she had clung to began to dissolve, offering a sense of relief amid the tension. Lily tugged on Sarah's arm, her wide eyes shifting from the stranger to her mother. "Can we go back to the flowers, Mama?" And just like that, the urgency of confrontation shifted. Sarah knelt beside her daughter, her heart swelling with gratitude for the innocence Lily embodied. Their journey into the woods became less about facing the man before them and more about constructing a legacy of courage and resilience for her daughter. "Soon, sweetheart," Sarah said, her voice gentler now. But as she straightened up, she couldn't ignore the stranger's gaze, still piercing through her defenses. This wasn't just a chance encounter. He may have something to teach her, just as she was poised to teach Lily. "What brought you out here?" she asked, directly challenging him to share. It felt oddly empowering, this pivoting of roles, forcing her to engage rather than stay hidden behind barriers of her own making. He regarded her for a moment longer, pondering whether to let the walls down. I was running from something, he finally confessed, his voice dropping lower still. But in hiding, I lost my direction. His words resonated with the echoes of her own life. Hers had been a flight from a relentless corporate atmosphere in pursuit of fulfillment, which had led her to this very moment in the woods. And how did you find it again? She pressed, curiosity guiding her inquiry. By facing the wildness I feared, he replied slowly, allowing each word to settle between them. The truth can either imprison you or set you free, but you have to choose which it will be for you. His wisdom struck home, forcing Sarah to confront her own decisions. Would she allow her fears to continue dictating her life? Or could she embrace the wildness, push past the complexities, and reclaim her purpose? Will you? He asked softly, piercing through her contemplation with a gaze rich in understanding. In that moment, the woods wrapped around them like the embrace of the unknown. Something powerful was emerging, transforming the way she perceived her own journey. The metaphor of the wilderness became clearer, reflecting not only the external journey but her internal struggle to liberate her ambitions from the binds of her past. Thank you, she finally said, her voice steady and firm. I think I've needed to hear that. But just as the weight of the moment settled, a distant rustle fractured the stillness, drawing their attention back to the shadows that loomed beyond. What other secrets did this wilderness hold? Had her encounter with the stranger paved the way for further revelations, or would it lead them closer to unforeseen challenges? With a growing determination to follow where this journey would lead, Sarah gripped Lily's hand tighter. Whatever lay ahead promised to unveil layers of herself she hadn't yet confronted. Let us keep going, together, she said to Lily, but deep down she realized this was also a pledge to herself. The path was still shrouded in mystery, and though the challenges would be daunting, she was ready to face them head-on. What else could she discover about herself, and what other truths awaited them in this expansive wilderness? As Sarah and Lily ventured deeper into the woods, the air thickened with the scent of damp earth and pine. Each step felt heavy yet liberating, with the echo of the stranger's words circling in Sarah's mind, the truth can either imprison you or set you free. She relished the idea of freedom, the prospect of shedding the weight of her past like a worn-out coat. While Lily delighted in the sights, fingers brushing past leaves and eyes wide with wonder, Sarah became lost in contemplation. What had she truly been running from? The corporate ladder, with its golden veneer and sharp edges, had shackled her ambitions. Days turned into weeks, weeks into years spent calculating risks, yet here, in this untamed realm, her focus was no longer surging sales or quarterly reports. Instead, it was clarity that she sought, a looming presence she could almost reach out and touch. Can we pick some flowers, Mama? Lily's bright voice pulled Sarah from her reverie. Of course, sweetheart. Kneeling beside a cluster of violets, Sarah felt the soft petals respond against her fingertips. This simple act of engaging with nature, a stark contrast to her sterile office environment, brought a burgeoning sense of peace. Don't worry, I'll help you, said Lily as she scrambled to pluck a purple blossom. The sound of her laughter floated through the woods, a genuine melody that sent ripples of warmth through Sarah's heart. In that moment, the self-doubt that had plagued Sarah began to lift, revealing layers of strength obscured by years of compromise. What more could she unearth about herself? Somewhere deep within, sparks of a forgotten ambition ignited. She had once been known for innovative ideas that propelled her company into uncharted territories. The memories simmered just beneath the surface, demanding to be summoned. Could it be that all those brainstorming sessions and late nights fueled by caffeine had stood in stark contrast to the unadulterated creativity found in this wilderness? As she marveled at the juxtaposition, she felt a flicker of her old self awakening. Sarah turned to Lily, who was now comparing flowers with fervent enthusiasm. What's beautiful about these flowers? She asked, enjoying their bond in curiosity. They all look different, but they're all still flowers, Lily replied matter-of-factly. Such innocent wisdom struck Sarah like a lightning bolt. We don't need to conform to look pretty, she said pensively, more to herself than to her daughter. And maybe I don't need to conform in my job either. The idea settled like a stone. Letting go of her corporate persona felt unsettling and invigorating. She could carve a new path for herself, one that did not rely on outdated beliefs or limitations propelled by others. This wilderness was not just a gripping backdrop, it was a defining crucible that would forge a renewed sense of identity. "Let us keep our eyes open for something special," she suggested, instilling a sense of adventure in Lily. They resumed their trek, the forest transforming from an intimidating maze into a breathing companion guiding them forward. As they rounded a bend, Sarah spotted a structure inexplicably woven into the very fabric of the woods. It resembled an old cabin, one that had long since been abandoned. The faded wood was adorned with lichen, and ivy cascaded across its doorframe like a fringe of forgotten memories waiting to be uncovered. "Mom, can we go in?" Lily asked, her eyes glimmering with excitement. "How about we look together?" Sarah felt a burgeoning desire to embrace this unexpected turn to explore not only the cabin but also the uncertainties of her life. Had she caught a glimpse of her new self on this journey? Together, Sarah affirmed, her heart racing in sync with the budding thrill of exploration. Together, they stepped toward the cabin, ignited by an eagerness that hinted at transformative revelations waiting just beyond the door. But as they approached, a sudden sense of foreboding flickered in the air, marking the threshold between what lay behind them and the mysteries that awaited inside. What did this cabin conceal, and could it possibly hold answers to the questions that surged within her soul? The path ahead promised growth, and perhaps, even the confrontation she had been both yearning for and dreading. As Sarah and Lily stepped closer to the cabin, Sarah's mind oscillated between trepidation and excitement. The door, slightly ajar, creaked as if inviting them yet warning them at the same time. It was unsettlingly quiet, the only sound was the rustle of leaves whispering their secretive tales. Taking a deep breath, Sarah pushed the door open, letting the musty scent of decay and forgotten memories envelop them. Inside, shafts of light pierced through gaps in the rotting wooden beams, illuminating a scene frozen in time. Dust motes danced lazily in the air, and an array of relics lay scattered on the floor, a cracked mirror, a few dusty books, and remnants of furniture that had succumbed to years of neglect. Each item felt like a story yearning to be told, a palimpsest of what once was. "Look, Mama!" Lily exclaimed, racing toward an old armchair that had seen better days. Sarah observed her daughter's enthusiasm, a mixture of curiosity and innocence that thrilled and terrified her. Was it truly safe to be here? Yet, as she watched Lily play, she realized this moment transcended mere adventure. It symbolized the crossing of boundaries she had erected around herself. "Let us see what's in these books," Sarah said, kneeling beside her daughter. She picked up a faded journal, its leather binding cracked and brittle. It belonged to someone named Alice. Flipping it open, she discovered an expanse of beautiful ideas penned meticulously across the pages, thoughts about dreams and aspirations, a longing for freedom that mirrored Sarah's own. As she read, a deep sense of resonance struck her. Here was a woman who had also grappled with expectations, who had chased after ideals only to stumble through the clutter of insecurity. Flipping through, Sarah found entries that detailed struggles with self-worth, and questions about identity that echoed in her own heart. The words rang true as if Alice whispered directly to her, urging Sarah to seize control of her narrative. "Can I see?" Lily asked, her eyes peering over Sarah's shoulder, filled with wonder. Sarah handed her the journal, the weightiness of shared discovery igniting a newfound connection between them. "What do you think she wanted?" Lily inquired, tracing her fingers along the words. "She wanted to be free," Sarah murmured, the realization crystallizing within her. Alice's dreams had not been fulfilled, but they lived on in this cabin. Sarah's own ambitions felt freshly liberated, her corporate confines fading against the backdrop of the woods. Determination surged through her. What if she could rekindle that creative spirit from her past? What if this cabin could inspire her to forge a new path, one not suffocated by conformity or fear? Suddenly, her heart raced with the prospect of harnessing the very emotions drowning her in uncertainty. Letting go of the past was daunting, yet this was necessary. It was time to embrace the unfiltered beauty of who she could be, the compassionate leader who raised others rather than stewing in jealousy or self-doubt. "Look, Mama, more books." Lily interrupted, pulling her back from the precipice of her thoughts. They spent time exploring remnants of the past, each item a piece of a puzzle slowly coming together, a tapestry woven with threads of passion and heartache. Yet, amidst the exploration, something shifted. Outside, the once gentle breeze grew sharp and cold, casting shadows that seemed alive. A sudden chill swept through the air, causing Sarah to shiver. The cabin felt less like a sanctuary and more like a threshold into something unknown, pushing her toward a decision that would define her next steps. "Lily, let us find one last thing before we head out," she proposed, feeling urgency swell. Was it just her imagination, or had the environment changed? Something here was demanding to be acknowledged. As they scoured the corners of the cabin, Sarah's pulse quickened. What if they uncovered a hidden truth, an artifact or clue that could shape her decisions moving forward? But a chilling realization settled over her: the liberation she craved might come with unseen costs. The door remained ajar, the outside world beckoning them back into its wild embrace. The darkness of the forest loomed beyond, filled with both risk and potential. And it was then, amidst her burgeoning resolve and the fear of the unknown, that she confronted the knowledge: every decision from here on out would test the very essence of who she had been, who she was, and who she could become. But was she ready to confront the answers lying in wait, and what truths might they reveal? "Let us go find out," she whispered to herself, stepping back once more toward the threshold, ready to embrace the challenge and her own long-buried desires. What awaited them in the woods beyond the cabin would question everything she had ever known, but one thing was indisputable: the journey was just beginning. As Sarah and Lily stepped out of the cabin and back into the embrace of the woods, a palpable transformation occurred within Sarah. She had faced her shadow in the form of that neglected cabin, a reflection of the silenced ambitions that had clawed at her conscience for far too long. This was no longer a journey of mere exploration, it was a reclamation of her identity, a renaissance sparked by the wisdom found in those forgotten pages. With each stride further into the wilderness, Sarah felt the shackles of adherence to past expectations begin to loosen. Her heart surged with newfound clarity, each breath filled with purpose as she considered the possibility of redefining her professional life. The realization that she could create a meaningful career rooted in connection and authenticity resonated deeply within her. "Where to next, Mama?" Lily chirped, delighting in the adventure that unfolded around them. Her wide-eyed curiosity fueled Sarah's own awakening, reminding her of the boundless potential woven into innocent exploration. The forest, with its winding paths and hidden treasures, became a metaphor for the choices that lay before her, filled with uncertainties yet ripe with opportunity. Every step Sarah took represented not only the physical act of moving forward but also a deliberate choice to embrace growth. She had confronted the specter of her past, unveiled the layers of conformity that had cloaked her spirit, and emerged as an individual ready to forge her own path. Remembering Alice's journal, Sarah felt a surge of inspiration. "Lily," she began, "how about we focus on remembering what makes us happy? What did you love doing when we first came into these woods?" "Exploring," Lily exclaimed, skipping ahead, her laughter echoing like a melody. "Exactly," Sarah responded, a smile breaking across her face. "Let us make that our mission. Let us explore not just this forest but what makes us feel alive." With each conversation, with every shared laugh, Sarah felt more empowered, and their journey transformed from a quest to rescue a child into a mission to reclaim passions rooted in their very essence. Soon, they stumbled upon a clearing, where light poured through the trees like an invitation. A warm glow enveloped them, the air bursting with possibility, as if the sun were affirming their decision to pursue authenticity. As they stood in the clearing, Sarah realized that this moment was not just a conclusion, it was a new beginning. She looked at her daughter, and the profound love and pride she felt cradled her heart. Together, they represented the vigor of dreams attainable through courage, curiosity, and vulnerability. "Let South remember this place, Lily," she declared. "This is where we promise to chase our dreams." The words hung in the air between them, a powerful declaration of intent. Sarah felt the echo of her former self, the corporate woman who had lost sight of her desires, begin to fade. Instead, a clearer vision emerged: she would create a consulting firm focused on holistic leadership, combining our all-important values of empathy and innovation. This would be a place encouraging others to unleash their potential, fostering connections that transcended the boundaries of the boardroom. We'll help others find joy in their wilds, she said, marveling at the thought. Just like we're doing right now. Lily nodded earnestly, her enthusiasm palpable. The journey back through the woods was invigorating, a vibrant tapestry of colors and sounds celebrating their shared experiences. As they emerged from the thicket, the sunlight felt different. It no longer signified the glare of judgment or perfection but the warmth of acceptance and possibility. Their adventure solidified a bond, a mutual understanding that life is an ongoing journey, a dance between ambition and authenticity. In the distance, the world awaited a canvas that needed her touch. Sarah faced the horizon, her heart steady and spirit renewed. She knew her professional goals were not forfeited, rather, they had been transformed. This wasn't just about her own reclamation but about sharing that journey with her daughter. I think we're ready, Sarah announced, her voice resolute. Ready to embrace everything that lies ahead. And with that, they walked forward together, hand in hand. The shadows of the past faded as they moved into the light of an expansive future filled with possibility, a testament to their courage, resilience, and the rekindled joy of living authentically. Join this journey of transformation and stay connected for more incredible stories about personal growth. You need to subscribe now to not miss these exclusive emotional journeys ahead. Leave a like now to help us reach others who need to hear these truths. Comment below with your thoughts or theories about Sarah's journey. Share instantly with at least 5 friends who you believe deserve to see this conclusion and inspire their path to growth. This is the moment to show your support as we delve deeper into the power of personal overcoming stories.